What's up, guys? It's Minx, and in the last video, we got our setup to get lobbies hosted done. And in this one, we are going to be able to start joining that lobby through various means. We're probably just gonna do the server browser and join with code. I think I'll leave invites to its own video because this one has enough in it as is with the server browser setup and all that. The join with code's not that long, so it can be added because it just takes a few minutes. But yeah, let's hop straight into it. I don't want to take too much time because I think the code and UI as it is, even though it's not super long, like big, is enough to take a long time. So we're just gonna go ahead and duplicate one of these. We have our main menu. I think the host game one works better because it has a text box already. This is gonna be our join game VBox. So okay, and then we will minimize and make this visible. And there's just a few things we want to delete and add. So we're going to delete this label. We're going to delete the two drop downs. And then we're going to duplicate this button. So we have, I don't know if I'm going to actually implement it, if we're going to implement it, but we're going to have a quick play button. We'll just say quick play, which is basically just auto match make. We have a server browser button. This is the one we are going to be implementing. We'll just do server browser. Max players is going to turn into a lobby ID line edit. For this one, when we refer to it as a lobby ID, in code it is the lobby ID. It is like the Steam ID of the lobby. As far as what I'm going to represent to like a player, I'm going to call it the lobby code. That might make it easier. I'm not sure. It's just kind of typical. And then we're going to rename this to the join menu back button, and we're going to duplicate it actually. And the this one is going to be the join with ID button. Okay. And then let's change the things here. So for the line edit, I'm going to get rid of default text, and placeholder is going to just say lobby code. And then join with code. And then back is fine. So everything looks good. Let's go ahead and just disconnect all the signals. Disconnect. And the line edit, we don't need the signals on this one, like we were with the other. The reason we don't need it is I'm not going to be doing any like validation at this level. What we'll do instead is we could do something like do it on the callback instead of here, because although we could get like probably the length of a typical Steam ID and everything like that, it's just not worth it. Too much work for little value. And then this can be disconnected, and then we can remake them. So quick play, I'm not even going to hook up right now. Server browser, we will connect to the pressed, and that should just go right in the main menu. Lobby ID line edit. We just need to make sure its access is unique because we need the value out of it. Join with ID button, we need a pressed signal, and then join menu back button, we need a pressed signal. Okay. If we go back to our main menu, we have join back, join with ID, and browser. Perfect. Okay. Let's just do the let's see here. Here we go. So we just need to reference just like the other two. I'm actually just gonna copy this host game one. Change host to join and host to join because the thing should be the same. And then copy dot visible oops equals true, and main menu vbox dot visible equals false. And this doesn't, I mean, it's annoying. It doesn't bug me yet, but my code hookup is not, I like the autofill, so I can just hit tab or whatever, enter, and it fixes it. Let's see, on join back button, and we'll just turn these around. And I'm going to really quickly just restart. Yeah, see, it wasn't really fully connected. It acted like it was. Perfect. Okay. Back to business, and we should get things like this. Okay, so and then on join with ID, we're just gonna do that real quick because there's really not much to it. So let's actually let me bring up this documentation here. GodotSteam. So, and this will really simplify things if even for the invites, because this information will pass on to the invites. So if we go to matchmaking, where all the lobby stuff is, and then we look at join lobby, everything comes back to join lobby ultimately, whether we're doing our server browser, join with code, sending invites back and forth. Everything is literally just passing that Steam lobby ID back and forth and then calling join lobby on it if we're trying to join it. That is really all it is. It's not more complicated than that. So when we send like an invite through Steam, it's just sending that through that invite. Our rich presence for invite is literally just the Steam ID for the lobby. And that's really all it is. So you could probably use that to figure out how to set up your invite systems. It's really not that difficult. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So we're just gonna do it since it's a one-liner. And anytime we're using like our Steam client script, we're gonna be using the Steam stuff anyway. Um, so you could toss a join function in your Steam client and maybe add some custom logic if you need to have anything specific in there and like emit a signal that you are joining. If you want it to be like super thorough, because it's just a one-liner, or well, I guess two if you're pulling it from a UI like I am. In this case, I'm just gonna have it done right in line, like right here. So to do it, I'm just gonna do a temporary var. What is it? The lobby ID is a string, or is it an int? I think it's an int. Shit. It is an int, yeah. Figures. Int is equal to lobby ID line edit dot text, and it is the int of that text. And then we're just gonna say steam dot join lobby ID. Okay. And that's really just it for that. It will just work or it won't. And if it doesn't, we can do something. So this is where we might want to do something like on join lobby failed in the Steam client. Actually, I don't even think that gets called if, oh no, result does get, does yeah, if result is not success, we print. You could have something here. We're in the main menu. If you have like a failure logic, and it doesn't do anything else, like it doesn't emit its signal, then that's just going to work as is. And that's actually the cool thing. So because we have our lobby created and everything kind of sitting in the main menu, when we join this lobby, so if this functions correctly, we don't have to do anything else to load into the lobby. It already just works. We just load into the lobby. So that's pretty chill. Let's keep it going here. Let's actually add a quick copy to the lobby screen. Oops, get me out of there. So in the lobby, oops, Godot here. Um, we want to, like a lot of games will have like a copy button next to it. So we're gonna do that. I have actually already wrapped my panel in a H box. If you're following along one for one, you're just going to right click lobby ID panel, reparent to new node and select an H box. And then you may have to like move it where you want it, whatever, it's really up to you. Otherwise, I'm just gonna go ahead and just add this button to the H box, give it some text, copy, and then rename to copy lobby ID button. Okay, and then a quick pressed signal. Pretty straightforward. And this is really easy too. This is just another one-liner. And if you don't know how to do this, well, you'll learn now, but it's something you could Google. How do I copy something to clipboard with Godot? And you're gonna find that it's under the display server dot clipboard. In this case, we do set, but you can also get and do things with images, as you can see here. Got a few things that you might want to look up. And it is literally just going to be, since we already have our lobby ID, we can do lobby ID. We don't need to like reference any variables. It doesn't like int, so we'll just cast it to a string. And that's it for the copy lobby ID button. So now we can actually test that real quick without even doing anything. We just hooked that up. Okay, perfect. Host, start, and copy. We can just like paste it here. Perfect. That is it. So now we can copy our lobby ID, send it to our friend in Discord or something, and That's that for that. So I'm going to really quickly make the main menu it. Now, we probably want to test joining because we've set up ways to join. We've created a lobby. We know joining works when we host it, but we don't know about joining it via the lobby ID, that system that we just made, or anything else like that. So what we want to do here is package our game and set it up so we can hook this into our sandbox. Now, there's a small hiccup. When I originally started working this myself, Sandboxie was just, you just download it, do a sandbox version of Steam, and then boom, you're done. There's an extra step that we need to take, which I'll show you. I'm not going to reset up Sandboxie, but I'll show you the extra step and the guide that I followed. So let me just bring this up here. So sandboxie plus Steam, and um uh here we go. This is the guide to run two accounts on one computer. I'll leave a link down to this in the description. But this is what I originally followed to just download it and set it up. So we can see the setup. We specifically want to create a sandbox. He called it Steam, whatever. Settings, give it file access and give it full access. I'll show you what it's talking about. But basically, just download Sandboxie Plus. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. Hook it up or download it, set it up so that it can just simply run, and then come back to this video. So let me open up my Sandboxie here. I have my Sandboxie 1.17.2. You don't need any special things. You just create a default box, just follow the guide. And then once you've got the guide all done and your Steam, you can technically try and run Steam through the sandbox, but it doesn't work. That's where you want to come back to me. And I found this fix in a GitHub issue because I was having issues and I was reading through it, and that's where I found it. We want to right click on the box that you intend to use, sandbox options. And then the first thing I want to do, actually everything's technically in resource access, but one is one we did in the ini. So when it says to add access, I gave you hit add file or folder, and then I select all programs, and then I gave it access to my full D drive. That's just an extra drive I have, and my Steam installs on there. So I gave it access through that. And then the second one is not one we do through here. So this WDMAUD2, I don't know exactly what it is, but it looks like it's something that like Steam or Windows was using to detect something was running, and in the code somewhere, maybe not even intentionally, and it prevented a second instance of Steam from like loading its UI. It was really strange, because Steam would like run, but I couldn't get it to like show up and run and then have like it be used by the or picked up by anything else in the sandbox. So it just kind of like ghost ran. And to add this, I'm gonna give you the thing here. I'll leave it in the description, and I'll see if I can find the GitHub issue again, and I'll link that as well, as if anyone is interested. But basically, we gave it a closed file path for wdmaud2.drav, and it just found whatever that is and said no, you can't access it. And then Steam just magically started working in the sandbox. So once you get your settings set up, you can hit apply and then OK. And then you should be able to, I'm actually going to see if I can go to my D. I have a Steam sandbox Steam that I use to keep it separate from the other one. I don't think that's necessary. We right click, run a sandboxed. You won't see this, but it'll pop me up for a UAC admin request. Hit yes, and it's updating. You know it's working if the update works. If the update works, that means you're good. And then you'll see like pound signs with like yellow box when you're hovering over it. So that means it's running sandboxed. Here we go. It's my John Counter-Strike account. So while that's loading up, I'm going to stick that off to the side, and we need to package our game so we can run that in the sandbox. So close out of this, go back to Godot, and to export, I've already done this a couple times, so it's not going to be something exactly like what I have unless you've already exported a project. If you go to project export, if you already have an export template, you'll look like this. If you don't, it'll ask you to download an export template. The default export template is perfectly fine, so go ahead and download and install it. It's like 1.6 gigs or something like that. And once you download it and install it, you can just close out of that screen and then open it back up, and it should look something like this. I usually embed the pack for the debug builds when I'm testing. That way, actually, I don't remember why. I just do at this point. It's just kind of something I just leave checked. And then it should just export. You can see the export here, export. And it's really quick. It should be done. There's not a whole lot to export in this particular project. So now we can hit close. And what I like to do is just simply run my main inside of the editor, and I typically like to host the game through it unless I'm testing something. And then I'll even copy the code. And then what we'll do is we can go to here, and then I usually like to run the console version on the second one, and the reason for that is that it will give us all the little print statements if we need them outside on the console. You don't need to run as admin or anything because it just Steam is the only thing that might need it. And it loads. We're good. No issues. We can actually just go ahead and join with code, paste. And surprise, it worked. I don't think this one will print anything out, but we are in the same lobby here, so there's no like issues. This one didn't print anything. We could do something like print on lobby join or something, but for now we're chilling and I'm certain everything works. I don't think this recognized that it quit, which is fine. We need to tell it to do stuff when that happens. The UI is not just like omniscient and loading us back to the main menu when we disconnect, because the lobby, although is quote unquote networked, at the end of the day, if we don't tell it what to do, nothing's going to happen. So everything's chilling. And we're good to proceed. So that's it for the lobby code stuff. We can now proceed to setting up a server browser. Let's go ahead and get the UI crap out of the way because it's going to take a little bit of time to set that up, and then we can get to coding it. So we're going to add a new scene, and we're going to call it server browser. And I'm just going to default to user interface, but we'll end up changing it. So we'll change the type here. And this one, I'm going to make it a panel with a margin box child or margin container. And then under this margin container, let's just think about like what the structure is going to look like, because this will help you if you're like trying to design complicated UI stuff. Not that a server browser is particularly complicated, but we have a couple sections. So the top section I want is just going to be the labels for like, this is where the name of the server is going to be. This is where like the mode, the players, and then the join button. And then right below that is we're going to have our server rows that take up the majority of it. And then below that, we're going to have our controls for, filters and backing and refreshing and stuff like that. So it's a vertical layout. So I immediately know I want to add a VBox. And then for each section, we need to think about what's going to go in that. So first section is going to be an HBox. And then just below the HBox is going to be something scrollable. We could just type in scroll here. I'm not a big fan of using the scroll bars. I'm just going to use the scroll container. And then in that scroll container, we need a VBox for all of the server rows. Now, you'd think that you might want to add like an HBox in here. However, the server rows are going to be a separate thing that we just simply directly add to the VBox. So technically it will be an HBox, but we're not directly adding an HBox like here. And then, um, we're going to do it programmatically with a pre-existing HBox that we have pre-laid out, and then just setting the data in that HBox. And we can actually rename this VBox, say server list, and give it a unique access. Oops. Because realistically, that's the only thing we're going to need to directly access via code, because we're going to be adding and removing children. Later, we might have things like down here, like a filter box or something that we need to access. But for now, so far, that's the only thing we're going to need to directly access. We can now hide that, and then go to the next thing in the VBox is going to be where all of our controls go. I'm just going to do an HBox. You probably might want to do some more stuff than just an HBox. I'm just going to have the stuff go down there. Now, everything looks kind of weird because it's like all up in that corner. That's because we got to fill it with some stuff. So let's start with the top one, the HBox. We're going to add a child for the label. And then we're going to duplicate the label a couple times. We've got name, mode, players, and then join. And we can give them some text here. So name, mode, players, join. Okay. And now we kind of gotta fill this in. So let's really quickly set the size of our server browser. The way we like, or the way I like to do this is start from the top down because everything is directly derivative from what's above it. So instead of like label being referenced, it's not horizontal alignment of the whole screen. It's the horizontal alignment for the container that it's in, this H box, which is of course the alignment in the V box, and then so on and so forth. So let's start with the server browser. Let's go to layout. We'll give it a minimum size of 600 by 400 or something like that, I think works. And then we're going to give it a center, whatever you do, center. There we go. I think that looks fine. And then this margin container, I'm going to do a center as well. And then we're going to give the stuff below it minimum sizes that kind of force it out, I believe. So this VBox container, actually, if we just do something like, let's see. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Let's give the anchors out like this or something. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. This margin box confuses the shit out of me. We'll do like let's see. This was 600 by 400. So we'll do 550 by 350 or 575 by 375. Okay. And then the anchors preset will be the center, just so it doesn't like break. There we go. And that gives us like nice little edges. And we can even tighten that up a little bit more if we want to. The VBox container next is fine because it's a direct correlation with the margin container. That's the only reason for the margin container. So the HBox is going to be next. And I want to go all the way across. And we want it to be towards the top like it is, so this is fine. So now we just need to make the children kind of do what they need to do. Um, so I'm going to start from the right. This will be far right expand or center expand, I think. I don't know. We'll see how it looks. Expand to the right. Maybe join will be to the right, actually. And then, no, we'll do a minimum size on join. So we'll do to the right with a... I don't know, center horizontal alignment on the label, and then layout minimum size, we'll say 50, 100, maybe 100 looks good. It keeps it kind of off the edge. Players, we'll do an alignment to the right. What? Oh, wow. I figured it would have been a little bit more to the left or to the right. That's fine. And then mode, expand, and to the center. Ah, that's what it was. Okay. I think I like it more like this, where players are kind of just next to the join button. And then mode can be center or to the right. Perfect. And then name. I think that's good enough. That gives the name enough space to mess around, like from here to here. Mode goes here, players go here, and join button here. So that keeps it nice and clean. We'll just give these nice names here. Name label. We're not going to give them access as unique or anything, so they don't conflict. Okay, nothing groundbreaking here. Moving on, is next going to be the server browser type of deal. We're going to make this just fill. So we're going to expand. That's fine. And then the HBox will not expand, but we'll give it a minimum size so that way we can control it. So layout, minimum Y, we'll do like 100, maybe, wow, maybe not 150. It really depends on what you want to do. This is just me doing what I'd like for this tutorial because we're just going to have buttons down here and stuff, not like anything special. And okay, so that is all. We got a nice little area. It looks kind of clean, actually. I'm actually not hating this too much. We can then really quickly add our buttons to the bottom. We'll just do this. Oops, cancel, rename. Browser controls area. And then we'll just add a button. We'll say back, rename back button. And then we'll duplicate, rename refresh button, refresh. Okay. And I guess that's fine, really. You can put more stuff down here. I'm not gonna do too much with it, but we'll see how to add like filters and stuff. And if you can add one or two filters, you can add the rest. It's really not particularly difficult. Um, and yeah, so that's fine. Let's do our server row real quick, so that way we can just start messing around in the code. So we'll create a new scene here, and we'll call it server row. And its root is going to be a horizontal box. So we're going to change the type to an HBox container. Okay. And then we're going to add what we need. So we need, let's see, add child. So we're going to need 3 labels again. We're going to do basically the same thing as the top row. So a label for the name. Oops. A label for the mode, a label for the players, and then a join button. Okay. And then let's go ahead and mess around with the size. So we could do something like, let's see, layout. Do something like this. Custom is fine. And then let's give the labels their stuff here. So we're going to say lobby name label, rename lobby mode label, player limit label, or well, I guess players label, not player limit, because it'll have both the current player and the max players. And then join lobby button, and it'll start giving them some presets so that way we can see what we're working with. Name, mode, and 0 out of 0. Nothing super groundbreaking here. And we can actually add this to the server browser so we can see what it'll actually look like once it gets added. So that way we're not like doing guesswork to figure out if it's going to work or not, or if we set things correctly. So we can see things are just kind of there to the side. I believe we can actually make this do something like this. And then if we save it and look down, no. Oh, the server list. We need to have this expand. There we go. Perfect. Well, there we go. Now it expands. Now we can mess with it. So the join, I'm going to have go all the way to the right. So expand and then go to the right with a minimum size of 100, just like we did on the other one. I think we did 100, right? Oh, well, looks like we did. Good enough. Fits perfectly. Players, we are going to do the expand to the right. We'll give it some time here to, this one did not expand. There we go. Yep. So that works. Mode, something like expand to the center, to the right. Looks like it's a little off. We'll give the name a go before we say it's not right. Expand, center. Perfect. So everything kind of fits. I'm sure things will kind of get goofy once like we start introducing actual like player names to it. Like John Counter-Strike is probably, it's a longer one. It might cause issues. I'm not really too worried about it here, but this looks good. This fits. So we can use this. I'm actually just gonna go ahead and leave that in there. It's it works. And now we can. We firstly want to. Let's see. Let's go ahead and add our scripts, and then we can start adding our stuff to the scripts here. So one for the server browser, and then one for the server row. So click on the server browser, click script, new script, server browser. And then I'm going to change the location to scripts, open. And as far as what it needs to inherit from, oh, I hit the wrong thing. I don't want it to inherit. I want the path to be scripts, excuse me. And that's actually, I kind of got my brain mixed up there. So the inheritance for this one doesn't matter in particular. It goes back to when we were creating a variable that referenced in something that was part of an inheritance tree, and you can inherit it at the level it's at. You can inherit above. It's really up to you. It really just depends on what you need. I know for a fact that we're not going to need panel specific things, at least in my case for this. So it doesn't really matter if I inherit it as a panel or a node or a control, whatever. Um, Actually, no, maybe we do want to inherit a panel because we're gonna have to set visibility. Maybe control would be fine, but not node. So again, it's just something to keep in mind. If you inherit it at the lowest level you can, or I guess you could say the high, well, yeah, the lowest level on the inheritance tree, you're gonna get the most access, because you're gonna get access to everything at that level and higher. So that's good. And then for server row, we're going to do the same thing. Let me go to the server row, click on it, create a new script. And HBox is actually perfect. Server row, and then we're going to put that in scripts as well. Okay, create. Okay, and now we can start accessing as unique and setting like functions for buttons. So the label is, all the labels on the server row are unique. The button is not. It does need a signal though for pressed. Connect to the server row. Perfect. Save. Go over to the server browser. We have our server list as unique. We just need our back and refresh buttons as not as unique. Excuse me. Pressed signals. Connect and connect. Go away, Toast. Trying to do stuff. Get off the screen. Fucking Steam. Okay, all good. So now we can go ahead and start coding, because this is actually where things get kind of easy. I think UI is probably harder than the logic in this case. So where do we want to start? Let's start with the creation and destruction of the server browser. So the server browser, what I wanted to do with it is from the main menu, we're going to create a reference to it the first time we do it, and then it's going to pop up, and then after that, if it exists already, we're just going to set visibility, and then it'll get destroyed if it exists when we join a lobby, and then it'll it's fine. So basically create and cache, and then use, and then destroy if it exists when we join a lobby. So pretty straightforward. uh let's see here. So on the main menu, server browser button pressed. We need to create a variable. I'm going to create two actually. So var server browser pack is a type of resource, and that equals the load of the UID for a server browser. If I could type resource, I'm like, why is that red? I'm pretty sure I typed that right. And we're going to do a var server browser is of type uh, shoot, whatever. It's of type panel. I'll just, yeah, we'll just do control here. It's fine. Um, is equal to null by default, and I actually want it to be null in this case because we're gonna do a null check to see if we need to load it or not. So when we say on server browser button pressed, if server browser, if not server browser, excuse me, server browser equals server browser pack dot instantiate. Okay, and then we say get root or get tree dot get root dot add child server browser. Okay, and then we return here because we don't need to do anything else if we've just created it. So basically, I know I kind of just went fast with that. So basically, we're saying, do we have a server browser? No, we don't. Let's go ahead and instantiate the resource that we've got here and then add it as a child to the root. I'm just adding it to the root because it's a temporary object. It's going to go away. It could just be added to the main menu realistically, but adding it as a child to the root is fine here. And then that's it. If we do have the server browser, then we just want to say server browser dot visible equals true, and that is it. That is it, really, because it's already exists and its visibility was probably not true if we've hit that button. Because the way I'm doing this is kind of cheese. So if it isn't obvious already because of where it's at, it's gonna just be covering the main menu buttons. It's just gonna be right on top of it. So like if I were to just drag the server browser here on the main menu, um, it looks translucent, but I'm fairly certain it's not when it's in game. If it is, I'll just fix that. Actually, let's fix that real quick because I think that's actually correctly not because I didn't give it a panel color. Theme style box flat. Yep, there we go. Um, and then I'm gonna make it like a deep blue, like a really deep blue, I think. Like barely noticeable blue. Perfect. And then I want to get it like a little border. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I can't even tell that it's on there. Oh, I gave it corner radius. Haha. uh, border width. Here it is. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's probably a little thick. Gorgeous. And it's got the rounded corners too. It looks amazing. Okay. Now if we add it to the main menu. Perfect. We can't see behind it. Looks good. Now we can't accidentally like hit server browser and hit again. Now technically that wouldn't break anything, to be honest. It doesn't really matter, but okay. So that's it for the server browser button pressed. If we actually go in and hit play, good, looks good. This doesn't do anything. None of these do anything yet. We can go ahead and implement that. So in the server browser, let's do the back button real quick. This one's it's not like super interesting, but it's something we haven't done yet. Is how do we get a reference to our self in Godot? If you're familiar with Python, it is just the self, which is the same thing as like this in C sharp. We say self dot whatever, in this case visible equals false, and that is the back button. That is it. So if we were to go hit play again, join server browser back, server browser back, it works and it's cached. We can tell with this here, we can see the server browser exists. Where if we stop it and hit play again, look at remote, it's gone. There it goes. Cool. So that's it for that stuff. Now we can do the fun stuff, the actual server browser. So let's go look at how to do a server browser in Steam, GodotSteam. So still in matchmaking, we want to look for request lobby list, and it tells us exactly how to use it. We don't even have to like try and figure out how to filter. It tells us right here how to filter, which is awesome. So we get a filtered list of relevant lobbies. This will only return lobbies that are not full and only lobbies that are public or invisible and are set to joinable with set lobby joinable. Note that by default set lobby joinable is on. So if we click on that and look, sets whether or not a lobby is joinable, yada yada yada. This always defaults to enabled for a new lobby. So ours are by default there. We don't need to do anything with that. Back to this. There can only be one active search at a time. The old request will be canceled if a new one is started. So that's fine. To filter the results, you must call the add request lobby list functions before calling this. The filters are cleared on each call to this function. So that means each time we request a lobby, we have to re-add them before we call it again if we want to keep them on. And we get a few. So we got distance, lobby list filter slots available. So like how many players are available to join. Lobby list near. I'm not. Oh yeah, if it's near something. Numerical filter, result count, which is like how many, and then like a string, so like version or ID or something like that maybe. I'm not sure what this numerical filter is though. Numerical comparison. Oh, okay, it's the same thing as the string one, but for ints. Okay, pretty cool. So let's go back and actually just go ahead and create this function. Not lobby data, lobby list. Um, so um, VS Code. God damn it. Okay, so we're gonna add, because we're gonna do it in a couple places. I'm just gonna add an explicit refresh or request lobbies filter or function. Func request Steam lobbies. And this, because it goes into a callback, it is just void. And we'll do return just or pass whatever for a moment. Doesn't matter. So we're gonna do two things. So we're gonna call deferred and ready. is it like control quotes or shift quote? There we go. And that makes sure that the UI has had enough time to load and do everything it needs to do by the time it calls it. Though, yeah, because we're going to clear it out in there. And then on refresh button pressed, we're just going to request theme lobbies. And then the first thing I want to do in here and why I have this as call deferred is I want to tell the server list to clear out its server rows. So for child in, and actually we need to add a reference to the server list. At unready var server list type vbox is equal to, okay. So for child and server list child.queueFree. So if you've done a server browser before, you know what we're doing. You have to clear out previous results out of the server browser. Otherwise, you're going to have duplicates or unnecessary things that you don't want in there anymore. So this will just remove them. And then we can go ahead and, yeah, I got it. We can go ahead and add our filters. So we're going to set them up, but there's a couple things we need to add to the Steam client just because we're on App ID 480, and I forgot about this earlier. So when you're testing on App ID 480, you're going to get a lot of servers that aren't your own game. You're going to get things that are anyone else who are using that App ID with Steam. So we're going to have a bunch of junk data that is not relevant. So to filter those out, you have a couple things you can do. You can simply add some sort of key value pair that no other thing is going to have and be done with it. And it's real straightforward to do that. So if we go into Steam client, and I'll just toss it on lobby stuff. They can't be const, or they can be technically. The way I'm going to do them is not const, just in case it ever changes. Var, say underscore lobby, or not lobby, excuse me, game ID underscore is of type string. That's equal to something like project.get settings. Shit, I gotta look at my note for this one. I forgot what this one is supposed to be. Project settings. God damn it. I knew it. Project settings.get setting. If I could type. And it's going to be, so we have two. So application /config /name. What's wrong? Unused. That's fine. And then I'll just copy and paste it. Underscore version underscore. Instead of config name, it's config /version. Okay. And basically, if we go look at our Godot stuff, project settings, in the config right here, our name is our name, and then the version is the version here. So you may want to make something a little more unique than this, but this is probably good enough. It's very unlikely that we see this exact set of things, like especially if I do something like that. But this will make sure that we only find our stuff and not someone else's. And now we need to add that into the lobby stuff. So on lobby created, not joined. It needs to be after lobby ID is set. Technically, not really. We could just say is it steam dot set lobby data current lobby ID, comma. And then the first one, it doesn't pass along like capital status or anything, just the values. So we can just do game ID all lowercase, and then it's going to be game ID. And then we can copy and paste version. Done. And now that adds it. And actually, yeah, that's fine. Because mode is going to be in pending lobby data. And we only want to do this once on lobby creation. And this can all be removed once it goes to prod. Once you're on your own app ID. If you're on your own app ID, you don't even need to do this. This is just so that way we're not getting other games crap. And then we're going to want to basically do the same thing over here. I'm just going to go ahead and we'll just use the existing ones. So if we go back to the documentation, I just opened my email, I think. Add request lobby string filter here. So steam.add request lobby list string filter. And we'll just look at the parameter. It takes a key and a value pair. So the first one's game ID, and it is going to be Steam client.game ID. It's freaking out about something. Oh, and the comparison type. So the comparison type is what it is comparing to. If we go look, and then we have a enum type, we're just going to do lobby comparison equal. So steam dot lobby comparison equal, and then we're going to copy, paste, and this is just going to be version and version. Perfect. Now for the piece de la resistance, steam.request lobby list. Super easy. That's how we request the lobbies. Nothing super crazy here. And it's going to give us a filtered version, and it does a callback. So if we go back here to request lobby list, lobby match list callback. And this literally just returns an array, or for my Python people, a list of lobby IDs. And Godot calls it an array, but it is pretty much just a list. It does all the same stuff as a list, works the same way as a list. I don't know about under the hood, but as far as it looks on top, it looks like a list. So it's not anything super crazy. We just want to go ahead and hook into that callback. So we can put this in on the onReady, and we're going to want to do it before this, though this is called deferred, so I don't think it matters. The match list connection, is not, excuse me, the request Steam lobbies is, so it probably will still happen after, but just in case, we'll put it ahead of time. So Steam dot, what is it, lobby match list, yeah, list dot connect, and then we'll just say on lobbies found. And then we'll add that to the bottom here. Func lobbies found. Wow, I thought I copied just this. That's going to take lobbies array void pass and just make sure that's worked. Perfect. Okay. So now this is where they actually get added. And we could put the queue free in here, to be honest, because on lobbies found maybe where we want to do this, but it doesn't really matter as long as we do this somewhere here. So when they are found, there's a couple things we're going to want to do with them. So we're going to request the data from them, because all this is a list of lobby IDs like we saw. And it's not everything that we just get in one query. So if we do for lobby in lobbies, we can do let's do a variable for just what we're going to populate. So we'll do a var lobby data is a dictionary, excuse me, not an array. Tripping. Equals an empty dictionary. And then var info is also a type of dictionary. Actually, no, we're not going to do the temporary one. We'll just do the info variable because we'll just add stuff to this dictionary. So for info dictionary is equal to steam.get all lobby data. And that is going to be a lobby. So if we go back to the to this here, get all lobby data here, it's going to try and pull everything, and we see it has this weird format. It has an int for the key, or well, an int for the index, and then a key string and a key value. That's obnoxious, like straight up. It's like a nested dictionary. So if we were to want to like call something off of it, like our mode, we would do info one mode if it were in one. That's what's annoying about it, is this stupid values or the stupid keys. I don't like them. I don't know how anyone else feels about them, but I'm sure as hell not a big fan. So we're actually gonna go ahead and do a flatten function. And we can leave it in here. We can put it in Steam client. It doesn't really matter. So we'll just say func flatten lobby data, and it will take a data dictionary, and it will return a dictionary. And then for this, we're just going to I'm not really interested in compiling this or well, exporting it just to show you what the lobby data looks like. But basically, it looks um, like a one and then key value or whatever. And it does like a one or like index one, something like this. And this is just, it's gross because you can't just call index or key or whatever. You have to call this and then this. And if you get it right, you're good. If you don't, you have to go to the next one. So it's not even like a real dictionary in that regard. And this could be the way to search for it. Like it's a quick search, like, hey, I got it. But we're just going to return the result and use it as is. So result is a type of dictionary. And this is going to be what we return. And then to go through it, we're going to say for k in data if type of k is equal to type underscore int. So basically, if we're looking at the indices at the top level, our entry, we're going to do var entry is equal to data at k. So this is all of the data at k. And then we're going to collapse it into our new dictionary with result. Return result entry key. So the key at entry key, because that's what it says. If you saw like the key, well, I didn't do a perfect example one to one, but it's that is equal to entry value. Lovely. And then otherwise, so if it's not, then we're just going to say, so if we happen to be at a spot where we don't have it because, and you'll see why we might not in a second, result k is equal to data k. Okay, and then return result. And okay, so now to do this on here, we're going to say flatten lobby data this. Okay, so now our info dictionary is actually usable without going through a bajillion extra steps to figure out which data we're looking at. Now, the problem with this is it doesn't give us everything. So, of course, we have our lobby ID because that's what we're using to call it on, but it's not part of the dictionary. Our current players or max players are also not part of the lobby or part of this dictionary, so we are going to add them in. So we can say info current players is equal to the string of steam.getNum lobby members of this lobby. Did I do that wrong? Oh, I did. Info. There we go. And this is where we might have a problem where we want result k to equal data k. If for some reason we call flatten on something that has, like we've added current players to it like this, and we see it's not an int, if we don't have this particular else, it surprise doesn't work. It just kind of removes that. It doesn't add it to the new return value because it's not technically the same dictionary. It's a brand new dictionary. Anyway, moving on. Max players is going to be the same thing. Info max players is equal to the string of steam.getLobbyMemberLimit. Oh, and again, lobby. And then I'm just going to add the lobby ID to it because I like to do that. So that way it's easy to work with. Instead of trying to like pass an extra parameter, we're just passing, hey, this is all the data. Have fun. Go crazy with it. And then that is it. We can now go ahead and start creating our our server rows with this stuff. So we're just gonna do a function for create server row. So we'll say func create server row. This will return a void for now. You could do things like status, like you could do like an int or a bool, but for now, just void. And we'll just say this takes a dictionary, lobby data. Okay, create server row, and that is going to take info. Perfect. Okay. So now we need to do pretty much the same thing we do for like the server browser where we create an instance of it. So we're going to load in the packs of our server row pack. If I could type is equal to load. What? Oh, okay. I got my note. That's because I was looking at my notes. Okay. That's fine. Server row, copy UID, bring that back over. And now we can do, so var server row is a type of hbox container is equal to server row pack dot instantiate. Okay. And then realistically, I guess this didn't need to really be a whole function, but it's fine because you can create them from anywhere. For example, if you wanted to create it from like a dedicated server. This is only for player servers. We haven't really done anything with like community or dedicated servers or anything like that, which is different. It's really different. There's a lot of different stuff that goes into that. There's a request handle that you got to manage and stuff. It's a little bit more work, but it's fine. I think having the function is good. Anyway, so server row dot instantiate, and then we are going to go to our server list dot add child server row. Now, something to note here. So even though it's instantiated, if it's not added as a child, you can run into an issue where you do something and it causes an error. And so as a result, I'm not going to do it in the onReady. Instead, I'm going to call the function out here after it's added as a child, the populate data function basically. So server row dot populate data or populate row, we could say, with lobby data. The reason, the reason we're doing that is because of the error that could potentially happen. So even though it's instantiated, if you try and call something on something that's not in the scene tree yet, you're going to get a null reference, or you're very likely to. So it is easier to just say, okay, add as a child, and then do this now that we've added as a child, instead of trying to call it on ready in the object itself. So that brings us to our server row script. Server row. And we know we need to do a func populate data, data dictionary void. And okay, so now we need to set up our server row stuff. Let's double check that we've done it. We have, perfect. Okay, so we'll set our at on readies. Our lobby name label is equal to label is equal to percent lobby name label. Do the same thing for mode. And then players label. Okay, and I think it's just the 3, right? Yep. And then the players label, that's fine. I'm going to do a variable for the lobby ID equals 0 by default. Var current players is an int equal to 0, and then var max players is an int equal to 0 as well. And the reason for that is we're going to do a, we'll set those and then we'll use those to populate a string as opposed to just setting the string directly with all at once. So anyway, this is fine, get rid of that. And then for populate data, we're going to say lobby name label dot text is equal to data dot can we get find yeah. Nah, we'll just do the old-fashioned way. Data, name, and actually, I forgot we haven't done this. I was just like under the assumption that it was going to be the name of the player. We actually have to set that, so we're going to leave this in here. We're going to have to go back and set that in the actual lobby data on creation, which is fine. The lobby ID is equal to data lobby ID. I think it's underscored, right? Yep. Current players equals data current players, and then max players is equal to data max players. I think that's everything. Oh, we've got our mode label. That's right. We'll actually do. Yeah, we'll do it in here. We'll do it this way. We're gonna leave mode out of this. Well, I guess no, we don't. We could do this probably in Steam client just as an example, though I'm gonna do it here. So var mode map zip type dictionary equals so we have 2 PvP is 0 as PvP and then 1 PvE. It's usually good to have only like one of these like somewhere that is the full source of truth that you use. And then when we pull the 0 or the 1 out of the dictionary for the for the game that we've hosted. So if we go into host game, where is it? Mode drop down. So 0 is PvP, 1 is PvE. It might be better to map this directly to the map and create it programmatically. So then that way, if we ever change it, it changes the drop down, which then propagates to all the other settings as well. So I'm just gonna leave it in here because whatever, but this might be something to put in like Steam client or like a const area that is kept as a const and is not changed throughout runtime. But then we can do something like so we've done like the lobby name. We could say lobby mode label dot text is equal to this is gonna be a little stupid. It is equal to mode map and the key is data mode. There we go. So just a nest in a nest, which basically maps data, pull out the mode, which is a 0 or a 1. I think it's a 1 by default, which then populates that in the mode map, which then populates this string, turning it into our label, turning our label text into that. And then we'll just do a separate function real quick just to create the what do you say the player label, populate player count label or just player count, and that's going to be var string end string is equal to the string of current players plus a slash plus the string of max players. Okay, and then max players or players label dot text equals end string. There we go. A little overkill. This could probably just be inside of the main function, but who cares? It works. And then the join lobby button pressed, simply put, is steam dot join lobby lobby ID. And we can do a guard here. So if lobby ID is equal to 0, push error, server row was not populated with a lobby ID. Return. That way it doesn't try and do that with and fail. Not 100% necessary because it's kind of got built-in guards already, but that's good. And then the only thing that's left, so if you'll notice, this is not added to the main menu, and as a result will not be destroyed in the event the main menu is destroyed, such as when we join a lobby. So right now, if we were to try and join a lobby and be successful, the server browser would be stuck on the screen. Now we could hit the back button and make it go away, but it's not really something we want to do there. So what we can do is hook this server browser into the Steam client lobby joined, and then be done with it. So we could say Steam client dot lobby joined dot connect on lobby joined. Just toss this on the end. And it does have to take the Steam ID. We're going to do, or lobby ID, lobby int void. And it's just going to be self.queueFree. In fact, I don't think we need to call queueFree on this one. We just call queueFree. In fact, I think that's how that would work for visible now. If we were to go into on back button pressed, we could just say visible equals false, right? Yeah, that's right. I forgot. The self is implicit. We don't need to be saying self. I'm going to put it on there so it's not implicit, but it can be implicit, and we'll do that here too. So that way it's not like, what are we clearing? Well, technically it's obvious, but it shouldn't be. We shouldn't have to do that, but we are. So that should be it, actually. We should be able to create a lobby and join it. Except I forgot one more thing, and that is going to be the name, right? The name. So let's go ahead and add that to the Steam client here. On lobby created, steam.set lobby data, current lobby ID, name, and because our Steam name is cached, we should be fine to just call steam.getFriend persona name, and it's going to be Steam ID. And I just realized that's not prepended with an underscore, which kind of bugs me. It should be something treated almost like the current lobby ID or whatever, because it should never be messed with outside of the script. So something to think about, but it's fine. This should just work now. And we're going to go ahead and package it, test it out, see if we need to fix anything. So we're going to go project, export, and export project. If we've exported it before, this should just work. That's fine. And we're gonna host from our main host start game, and I'm gonna change. I'll leave it as PvP. That's fine actually. We'll do 6 so it doesn't, just to make sure. Start, and then we're gonna go into the console version, run as sandboxed. Okay, we immediately got an error, unable to iterate on object of type VBox container. Why is the server browser loading on, I guess loading the pack's fine. Let's see what happens if we load it up here. Okay, so it's not happening. And I don't think I hooked in the refresh button. And the back button's not working. Okay, so the script failed. Oh, I know what the problem is. My mistake. Go to the server browser here where I did that. On lobbies found here. So the server list is a VBox container, and it's a type of VBox container, not a type of list or array or whatever. We need to get, oops, we need to call get children. My mistake. Oop, there we go. And now a cool thing about how we've done this is, actually, no, it's not very cool because the issue happens on both now. It only happened on the one. Weird. I'm going to go ahead and actually just repackage. So sometimes you don't need to repackage. So if you're testing join logic, but your host logic is fine, then you don't need to repackage a bunch of times. You can just keep iterating on the one, like on the an engine version, and keep the package one as the host. So like I could just host on my alt account here. So we'll just run sandboxed and host. If anything else go wrong, we can just iterate on the on this other version here with trying to join. So we'll host in the default box here. We'll change it to 7 this time. Start game. And then we'll go here, play, join game, server browser. Okay, this is fine. I mistakenly gave it a wrong name. This is what happens when we go a little too fast. So we did populate row. I think I called it populate data. There we go. And this is actually an example. I didn't even mean to do this. That's something like I would try to create as an error for for example purposes, but we don't need to. Flattening it didn't work. I thought it would work. I really did. Yeah, line 23. So it failed to get the line 22 was successful, but line 23 was not. Let's just go ahead and print the data then. Fine. Print data. Let's see what we got. Flattening did work, motherfucker. Property or key 1. That would also explain why the first one worked, but the other one didn't. Okay, this needs to move so I can access this, god damn it. Okay, so we'll do the string of this. Maybe it's trying to pull it back as an int, even though it's passed as a string. Try one more time. Nope. Oh, no, it's supposed to be an int. It's the key is supposed to be an int, but it's coming back as a string. That's my mistake. We could turn these into strings. I'm pretty sure that's the problem. Okay. Tried to have line 26. Lovely. Current players. Oh, yep, that's my mistake. This is supposed to be the int of. Actually, we could just make these strings. My apologies. I went a little too fast, I think, and got mixed up. And then we don't actually need to convert these back to strings now that they are strings. So we could just say this, which this isn't going to cause an error anyway, but figured we'd just clean it up a little bit. And instead of doing a temporary var, since we're not casting, I'll just do this. And as a result, we're just going to do this. Gorgeous. Okay. Third or fifth time's the charm. Join game. Aha. John Counter-Strike is hosting a PvE server with 1 out of 7. We'll go ahead and hit join. And surprise, we are able to join. My apologies. We just had some little type errors that I wasn't paying attention to. And that caused those little bugs. So just to reiterate what we did here. So it wasn't that our lobby data was not flattened correctly. It was, we had properly made it so it was correct. However, when I tried to access the mode map, it was looking for an int and I was passing in a string, which is not allowed because the keys are ints. So I had to convert that to an int. We could just simply do a conversion to string, but realistically, I think int is better here for the keys. It really doesn't matter either way. We could also not do it as a map. We could just do it as a ordered list, I think would be fine, where the indices matter. But again, it's not super important. And then the other thing we had to do was current players was returning a string. And that's because the Steam version does actually return an int, and I was expecting it to be an int. However, because I had converted it to a string already, it was expecting it. We just converted the variables that we populated with it to string. That solved that problem. And then lastly, the player label text, we just went ahead and made those strings as well. Well, those are the variables I was referring to, and that just solved the problem. It was just a bunch of type mix matches because of uh, how fast I was going. I guess I went a little too fast. So that's really it. That's a server browser. If you want to add more things, like down here, you could do like, so for example, in this little section here, so right before you search, you're going to want to do it in the same function, or you could do a function that gets called right before it where you add these filters. You could pull drop down values, string values, number values, whatever you want. So you could check for, you know, how many players do you want to be available in it? You could check for different settings, whatever the game, whatever you want to allow. You just have to remember that whatever you're filtering by, if it's not built in, you need to also be setting it on creation. Otherwise, if it's not set on creation or if it's not available, then you're just going to be filtering for nothing. But that's really it. I think in the next one, we're going to do the invites. So we're going to basically finish all of the different ways that you can join a lobby. And then afterwards, when we're done with the joining stuff, we're going to get into actually messing around inside of the lobby, all that fun stuff. So the updates and stuff, populating like player slots and stuff so we can see our friends in the lobby. And yeah, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.